In this video I shall be having my first ever try with an airbrush. Hello AOS fans, Robin here. Yes, today I'm looking for the very first time at using my airbrush. I've been thinking about getting an airbrush for ages. Seen some really neat effects with them, seems a really great way to prime stuff. Loving the zenithal highlights people do, which you just can't really do, or I struggle to do with a rattle can. But I've also been really scared of getting an airbrush. This seems like another level of commitment, another level of skill. There's a whole lot of technical side to it that I've been quite worried about. So I thought I'd kind of record the experiences of how it went, how I got used to it. Luckily, see, now we've got the studio. I've actually got somewhere I can set aside to have do the airbrush stuff for. I will just say thank you to Milky, our patron, for kind of talking about airbrushes, his use of airbrushes, and a big, huge thank you to another of our patrons, possibly Nerdy Rob, who took me through. I basically bought what he recommended. He's a brilliant painter. Both Milky and Tom, both Milky paints, and possibly Nerdy Rob on Instagram, both brilliant painters. Check them out, excellent stuff. They just blow me away every time I see what they do. So they help me with the setup. Now, on the subject of setup, I didn't go for a cheap setup. I spent a reasonable amount of money. I got a nice, I think, a Badger 105 airbrush, I think it is. I spent a reasonable amount of money on that. I got a decent compressor. Rob recommended getting a decent compressor, and I got a hood because I don't want to ruin the studio. And I've kind of, Peter and I discussed this. We thought we'd get one for the channel, an airbrush for the channel, make some content for it with it, and then also, you know, we can help us paint our kill team scenery, that kind of stuff, doing the bigger things. And we discussed, should we get a cheap one? I know Blackjack Legacy did a really good video on cheap airbrush, but I'm one of those people that if I don't invest in something, then I don't necessarily, if I don't invest in something monetarily, I don't necessarily invest in it personally. So I'm quite worried about this not working very well. And if I'm only spending like 30, 40 quid, I don't know what the cheap ones are, then I will, if it doesn't work, I'll be like, oh, well, that doesn't work. I'm going to try because it must be the cheap equipment and I can blame it on that. Can't blame the equipment now, really. I can only blame myself, which means that I can actually improve that by being better. Or getting better or learning, the improvements can be made. So I kind of feel like by investing a little bit more money, therefore I will invest the time and the effort in making sure it works. On the subject of the money, this has all been made possible thanks to our lovely patrons who sign up to and pay us a little bit each month for the content, which we absolutely love, and thank you very much for doing that, because that has made things like all the extra cameras and this airbrush in particular possible to do this. Without it, I wouldn't have been able to justify the expense to Mrs. Brooks, and so we could. But this is channel money which I've used to invest in an airbrush. So I hope you enjoy this content. I'm going to take you through my setup, and this is going to be literally the first time I've used it. Now, I did actually record this intro yesterday, but something balked on the camera card, so I've had to redo it. So I have done it, so I know what happens, and you can tell that I didn't die in the process, so there's that. But you know, see what you think. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. I've got a few plans. We'll see what I painted up, but I've got some Marvel Crisis Protocol scenery I can paint up, so I'm going to try one of the cars next, and hopefully I'll do a few of these videos. So let me know what you want to see. Let me know if you want to see anything. Let me think if I don't care about you using an airbrush Robin, well, in which case probably don't watch anymore. Yeah, let me know what you think, and well, I'll see you in a second. Bye. So here we go. This is the setup. I'll move this a little bit, so I'll come to some tripod today. So there is my spray booth. Now I bought a spray booth, as you can see. It's got a little tube that goes outside, because this is in the studio. This is in the studio, and I didn't want to make a horrible mess of my studio. So there you go. I've got a cleaning pot down there, you can see, and there's my light box compressors, and then right down there is the compressor. I had to sort of add that thing with the valve on it to screw that in, and then there's the little coil tube. I think I might have to lift the compressor up at some point because it's a little bit taut on that, and I'm worried about pinging the airbrush back one day, so I might have to lift that up. The airbrush is sitting in the cleaner at the moment. The airbrush came with a little attachment which I didn't notice the first time. I'm just going to put you down, and so that made it a curious incident where I was trying to screw it together with the into the cable to connect to the compressor, but we got there in the end. So yes, I screwed that little valve on, little sort of adapter, and it was all good to go. Over here, I've got a mask and some gloves, and I'm going to spray up. I've got some of the Archon Studio scenery, which I looked at recently in a video. I'm going to try and spray that up and see how it goes, and then if that goes well, I've got a Marvel Crisis Protocol range ruler. So this is going to be my very first time, so please be gentle with me. Okay, well, before I do anything at all, I'm going to switch my spray booth on. So switch that on. Oh, there's light. Oh, we have light. So, and you can see that's quite noisy. Jump rotor jet going off in there, so you probably won't hear me very well when I'm doing this. We'll have to see how we go. Now I'm going to add to the noise with a compressor. Just switch that off for a second. So the compressor's working, which means you might be able to hear that. I have air coming out of the brush. It still works, don't me? Right, so I'm going to put that back in there for a second. Okay, so that keeps the air, I've switched the compressor off, that keeps the air for quite some time. So I hadn't really thought about it. It's gradually fading away. I'm slightly concerned that it's going to be too powerful. It's just going to go everywhere when I do it. But I guess we'll see. So I'll just put in that. I just thought it probably made sense to put some paint in while the compressor wasn't on, just in case. You can't see very much there, can you? So I'm going to put some paint in now. I've got some Vallejo Surface Primer. I don't know whether I need to. I think this is quite runny. I think this is for airbrushes. I don't think I need to water it down at all. We shall see. So I'm going to put a little bit in here. There is paint in the cup. Paint in the cup. I'm going to put the lid on to avoid anything too heinous happening, hopefully. And now I'm going to spray myself in paint. So I am going to put the hood back on. I am going to turn the compressor on, I think, although there's still some paint in the, still some air in the compressor. So I've got my mask on, I've got my gloves on, and here we go. Okay, I need to angle, I just need to drop you slightly, don't I? Just drop you down, there we go. Oh, boing, boing. Do you drop? Oh, you do. There we go. Right, well, I mean, what could go wrong here, really? Apart from everything. Let's switch this on. Somehow. Well, you can pull this back and nothing happens. And then if I fire this out, I've got a few spots there, splashing with spots. So I need to learn how to control airbrush as I'm using it. So there we have it. That was my first attempt at using an airbrush. What I feared did happen. I put this and it pinged out just, but no damage done, I hope. I'm going to finish this off, and then I might show you me trying to clean it. it all feels a bit weird, I'm not going to lie. But hopefully it's okay. Hopefully I haven't done anything too stupid. Let me know in the comments below if I've done anything daft, completely utterly daft. I quite possibly have, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like this is just being spray black, but that is the filter at the back, so maybe that's okay. I've got a spare one, so if I'm screwing it up, then please let me know. Yeah, so there it is. That's my very first experience with airbrush. You can see how it's going to be much easier to do large areas. I've only brought one colour out with me. I probably need to get some white to do a few sort of zenithal highlights and stuff until I get used to it. I'm not sure I'm very good at controlling the paint yet, but I guess that's all going to come with practice. And I've got loads of this stuff to practice on. I've got some tape coming, so I can tape things up to do straight lines and cover things. Yeah, that's it. That's Robbie did an airbrush for about 2 minutes. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it useful, fun. I say I really don't know what I'm doing. It really is the beginning of the journey. Hopefully you'll see the effects of that as we go through on Age of Sigmar, as we do more painting, more scenery for Kill Team. Maybe I'll start zenithal highlighting my miniatures. Maybe we'll see an improvement in my painting, who knows. But that is it. So if you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe. Do consider joining us on Patreon if you want to. There's a great little community over there, great little airbrushing community, great painting community. And we had a painting competition this month. There is a monthly competition, and this month it was painting, and the entries were excellent. So there we go. Let me know what you think, and well, we'll see you soon on the Ages of Sigmar. Bye. Okay, I'm back. I know I said goodbye, but I'm back. Learned a few things from my experience. One is it's really hard to hold what you're doing and not smudge it. So that's what this turntable in the middle of here is for, I guess. Yeah, so I've learned. This has gone on very. It takes quite a long time to dry, which is when you prime it, spray primer dries. Not completely, but it's not wet for quite a long time. Sorry, it's not. It doesn't stay wet for very long, and you can sort of touch it. But this you definitely can't touch, and that's a problem when you're trying to manipulate it. That's a little learning curve there. I still need to learn how to control everything. Control it. It seems to be quite not difficult to control, but not easy to control either. To get, I don't know how much control one can get from your airbrush. So that's something for me to find out. And now I'm going to try and clean it. So I've got some airbrush cleaner, and hopefully I'm not going to really bollock this up. So I'll take this off, stick that in there, put my cleaner in there, and there it goes. It's come out the top there, which is interesting. I don't know if it's meant to be doing that or not. Feel like it probably isn't. Okay. Not entirely sure I'm using this properly. It's letting out dirty gunk. That's coming out either way. There's a cap for that. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Okay, so I feel like I need to learn something on the cleaning front. Got gunk everywhere now. Got some kitchen towel here, so I'll use that. Okay, there's my compressor. I might switch the compressor off now. Wipe out this. Wipe out. You can see it is coming out clean, so that means it's the interior, at least the needle at least, is clean. The interior of the needle. I believe I have to unscrew this as well. And then he does come out, you can see there's a bit of paint on there. So give that a wipe. And that looks pretty clean now. Don't put your tissue on top of your painted things. It's probably a bad idea. And screw this back up. Still seems to be blowing air. Still seems to be clean. So I think the jobs are good enough. I've got some needle juice for airbrush lubricant, and I've got some little cleaning brushes. I guess I can probably use those as and when I need to. It does look a bit mucky in there still. I don't know the best way to get that out, maybe with those little brushes, but I shall fiddle with that while you're gone. It's mucky on the outside now, probably because I've got these gloves. Gloves are very handy, as you can see they're very dirty, so I definitely needed those. And that was it. So that's my, I think if I get a little bit of time after this is dry, I'll take some photos. It won't be very exciting photos, but I'll get some photos of the finished product, flash those up so you can see how I got on, and you can see the priming, and then I don't know, I'll think of what to do next with my airbrush. At the moment I don't feel very confident with it. It feels like a very expensive alternative to spray cans, but we'll see. I'm sure once I grow in confidence, then things will get better. So until next time on the Ages of Sigmar, I'll see you soon. Bye.